I can try to speak for the magazine industry to some extent because I try to involve myself in many of the associations that helps the magazine industry be more cohesive, including Magazines Canada, which is the sort of national association that represents magazines to the government, and the Canadian Society of Magazine Editors. So the magazine industry is also experiencing some difficulty. There have been, major revenue declines, but we are seeing that come back up. We are seeing some improvements. And so many of the publishers have tightened and shrunk a little bit in terms of the number of staff and the types of things that we are doing. But I think we'll see that plump up a little bit again. So hopefully there'll be some great opportunities for all of you who are so well trained and who are so enthusiastic. In terms of other challenges, though, beyond revenue, we have a few. Our industry, we are those of us who are working in editorial and magazines, I would say we're journalists, but we are primarily content wranglers. So we are the people who are working with journalists, and we are the people who need the journalism instincts, but we're not writing very much. We are deciding what makes a great package. We are curators. I like that word. We are curators. So when you open the magazine, you're entering the package that we've created. And that's what the industry really needs right now, is terrific curators who understand what is interesting, what is complementary, and who are prepared to make a major investment in the readers of that publication particularly. So I think there's a great opportunity for people who have that sort of vision. And there are shortages there right now. We have, one of our major challenges is with contributors. So there's a very large pool out there of freelance writers. Freelance writing makes up 85 to 90% of the editorial written contributions to my magazine and most of the consumer magazines. Nobody has a newsroom. We just edit the material that comes in, and that pool of freelancers out there is hugely in flux. The amount that we pay them hasn't changed very much in 30 years, so that sort of income has degraded with inflation. We would like to pay them more, and I personally work hard to pay people more and to pay people appropriately to the kind of work that they're doing for us. But that is a definite challenge. There's also huge rights issues out there right now. We want to be able to use content flexibly in many different ways, and it is absolutely appropriate that the person writing the content would feel a sense of ownership over that and would like to co-profit on their work no matter where it appears. So working through that is a major challenge, not just with writers, but with other contributors, photographers, and illustrators. Of course, competition is always an issue when you're dealing with broader subjects such as women's health. That is essentially what I work on, what Homemakers is about these days. You have a lot of competition internationally, so working on a Canadian bent, not just in print, but on Twitter and on your website and wherever else, you have to have a unique offering there for Canadians, and that's not easy. And in terms of time and other resources, essentially we have the same number of staff, or actually fewer staff than we had 10 years ago, but we all need to do much more than we used to do. The demands on our time mean that we're hopping all day. Even though Homemakers is only 9 issues a year, which probably seems ridiculous to those of you who are putting out daily newspapers, what are we doing with all our time? Well, we are doing a huge variety of things in order to be present in the marketplace between all of those 9 issues as well we're fresh on the stands. And beyond that, we also have huge pressure from the advertising community. So advertisers, readers don't want to pay for the product. And that is, on its own, a big challenge. At $10 a year, a subscription, where if you make it $11, they won't buy it. I mean, there's huge price sensitivity out there in the market. So when the reader isn't paying for your content, then the advertiser is paying for your content, and they often want a little more for that. And that means they're trying to not just buy adjacent ads, but maybe, you know, how much do we need to pay you until you'll write about us? So you have to deal with that kind of pressure, and you have to always be prepared to come back with alternatives and say, well, we can't do that, but what about this great idea? And deal with that so that you can engage them and get their money in an acceptable way. So those are some of the main pressures. But there are a lot of opportunities, as I say, for enthusiastic and knowledgeable people to come in and to curate with us and to understand our reader and keep a pulse on who that is and how to make that person, how to fulfill them through their title. We've discovered that magazines are a lot more about entertainment than they are about learning. So it's an opportunity to help people learn what they want to know in an entertaining environment. That's what we have to do with magazines. So anyone who is excited to do that sort of thing, definitely there are some opportunities. But it's all about the F word. It's all about flexibility. So you have to come in and be prepared to do a lot of different types of work. And I've worked in many different areas, and I think you can learn something from everything. And the wonderful opportunity with magazines is that once you are an editor and a curator, you can work on many types of content. I'm working in women's health now. I previously worked at a woodworking and home improvement magazine. Before that, I worked at a financial magazine. So you can learn quite a lot across different subject areas, and it's a wonderful opportunity to really immerse yourself. So I hope some people will be encouraged to get involved in magazines, and I'll be happy to take more questions on it later and offer a little bit of advice.